Hello, welcome to the podcast. And today I am joined by Matt and Tyler. Say hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
So we first are going to start off like we normally do and get the new guests to talk about how they got into dark and creepy stuff in general. Again, just so I'm not forcing people to come on this show that don't want to, blah, blah, blah. So Tyler, take it away. How did you become into dark and creepy stuff in general?
So hey, I'm Tyler. So I'm not like these two sickos into murderer, serial killings, creepypasta, that weird stuff. But I have a deep fascination with monsters. It started honestly with Godzilla. Like kaiju are just awesome. Whole reason I saw Pacific Rim. Big shit punching big shit.
I think that's the only reason why people watch
Yes, I just love movies like that where it's just monsters fighting other monsters or monsters fighting big shit. It's awesome. But I just love this sort of almost mechanics behind how it all works. Like I love reading just SCP Foundation documents because it's all just like scientific reports on made up monsters. That stuff's great.
Mm-hmm.
But when I really got into like the creepy dark stuff was when I discovered Lovecraftian horror, cosmic horror. That's my jam. It started with just like Cthulhu being in fucking everything. And then I was like, okay, what the hell is this squid-faced motherfucker from? So I found out, oh, there's a book, The Call of Cthulhu. I was like, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll pick it up. Who the fuck is this Lovecraft motherfucker? Do a bit of research, read in, go through the book. He's an interesting fellow, horrible racist, kind of insane. Your typical novelist, really.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I got into that, started reading through some of his other books, The Dunwich Horror, Shadows of Innsmouth, all that good stuff. And I sort of started getting into more cosmic horror authors and writers, like the whole Cthulhu mythos, as it's called, isn't just Lovecraft's work. He literally just told his friends, hey, take my shit and write about it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's at least 10 different authors who've written like really well-known books from the Cthulhu mythos.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this whole pantheon of gods related to it. It's I could spend hours just talking about that alone, but I also got into other authors from sort of the same genre. I got into someone who we'll be talking about today, Junji Ito, who was first described to me as weeaboo Lovecraft.
That's kind of true.
That caught my interest, and then I realized, they both do the cosmic horror thing, but they are exact fucking opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lovecraft will describe to you why you are an insignificant ant, a speck of dust in the universe, why the world doesn't give a shit about you.
And then
Junji Ito won't tell you fucking shit.
It's like, here's a thing that exists,
Like,
and I'm not going to tell you why.
We'll get into this when we actually get into some of his stories,
Yeah.
but like, he doesn't explain shit, and when he tries, you're even more confused.
Yeah, and it's just, there's no point to it of him explaining, like, there's literally
That's not the point. It's never the point to understand it.
Yeah.
The point is that it disturbs you.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Too.
Yeah.
And the art
that's what I
style,
love.
too, is really cool.
His art style is really nice.
Yeah. So in, like, when you were, like, younger, when was, like, the first, like, when's the first, I asked Matt and my last guest, Paulina, when was, like, the first memory you have of, like, oh God, this is, like, I'm gonna spend, like, the rest of my life researching this? Was it Lovecraft? Or was it somewhere...
like, I had a passing affection for monster movies and kaiju films and all that. Just
like, what's the
because
first...
that shit was cool, but like the first really instance of me diving down the rabbit hole was definitely with Lovecraft and Cthulhu.
Yeah. And like, what's the
Oh,
like
yeah,
first
maybe.
story that you read from him that you were just like,
So
this
the
is fucking
first-
amazing?
Lovecraft story I read was The Call of Cthulhu,
Mm-hmm.
which maybe not the best starter one because it's sort of told from a third-person perspective the whole time. You're getting someone's secondhand account of someone else's secondhand account of the story.
Okay.
So would it be better to start with something a bit more if you're going to start Lovecraft, start with something a bit more narrative focused, like The Dunwich Horror or Shadows over Innsmouth, which are really good ones. Or if you're in for a longer read, Mountains of Madness is fantastic. But the first real Lovecraft thing I got into was actually an old PC game that was inspired by the Call of Cthulhu
Oh, really?
by the same name, and that was an experience to play.
Mm-hmm.
And
It played like ass.
yeah.
I'll
And
just
was
put it out there.
was the old PC? Because I've never played it. But is this old PC game going to be kind of similar to the new game that they're releasing out? I don't know if
From
it's this
what
year.
I can tell, like I've looked a little bit into the new game because yes, we need
Mhm.
more Lovecraft shit in video games.
Yeah.
But from what I've looked into it, I feel like it's going to at least more closely follow the events of Call of Cthulhu from this old game that I played, because there have been 3 or 4 different Call of Cthulhu games, like video games. And there's the board game and the RPG, and it's everywhere. But the specific one I played took a lot of liberties with the story, and it sort of played into Shadows over Innsmouth as well with its first act.
Okay.
So it was sort of a mix of the two. It was weird.
Yeah.
But that's why I love it.
Okay, so since you brought up the whole Junji Ito, sorry, and your kind of beginning, so shall we get into the stories and talking about
Absolutely.
it? Okay, so the first one that we could talk about is Uzumaki, unless you want to talk about a different one.
We could do Uzumaki, the
Yeah.
Spiral Obsession, as it's translated to in English.
Okay, so again, as every podcast, I've done a little bit of research on it. I personally own the book as well, so I do know a little bit about it, obviously. But I just like to do some research about it as well, just as a backup. So this information that we're going to be reading about each story will be from pastemagazine.com. Again, trying to save my ass, don't want to get copyright, blah, blah, blah. So, the little description that they wrote about the Uzumaki book is, I'll just read that and then we'll talk about it. If that's okay with you guys.
Go ahead.
So, this is what it says. Threat is abstract. A small town slowly becomes obsessed with spirals, and the vagueness of the premise allows Ito to adopt a vignette. How do you spell that? How do you pronounce that?
Vigilant?
A vignette.
A vignette?
A vignette
Come on,
style.
did you take English class?
No.
Terrible at English.
Style
Tell
and
you he
toy.
has to correct you.
Style and toy with Japanese ghost traditions. Cosmic horror a la Lovecraft or Arthur McChen, and pages upon pages of terrible things happening to human bodies. We're cheating to show you this entire sequence. Good luck ever again looking at spirals without a tinge of anxious fear.
I definitely feel like anytime I see spirals now, I just picture snails. Just creepiness and
No, not
It-
Barrel
it-
Man?
the barrel man scared me.
Yeah.
I feel like looking over your shoulder, you reading it, I would. It was weird for me. It was weird.
Mhm.
So Uzumaki is I never finished Uzumaki. I picked it up and I got sidetracked with someone because I think that was when I got my hands on Shadows over Innsmouth, and then I just never finished it.
Mhm.
But with what I got into it and what I got out of it, it's Ito at his finest in that it is truly just fucking with your head.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of what the fuck just happened moments, which again is typical for his work. Like I remember one part of it where we were talking about this the other day, where because one of the biggest things is that there's a lot of tornadoes from the lake or pond or whatever it's coming from
Was it
there.
lake?
Yeah, I think it was in the middle.
It's been a while since I
Yeah.
felt it.
And there's just like random tornadoes that happen whenever someone makes either a loud noise or just like talks in general, so that they'd be very quiet. And then they realize that they can like control or like surf on said tornadoes.
Yeah, it gets weird.
Yeah, and then how they don't really, he doesn't really explain again in typical Ito
No.
fashion. He doesn't explain on how they can surf on these tornadoes. They just like in the book it's just like, hey, these people can surf on them and they try to do it until they die, kind of thing.
So it does point out something that's very common in Junji Ito's manga, and something he very much pulled as inspiration from Lovecraft, in that this story in particular, and a lot of other ones like Tomi, which I feel like we'll talk about later, is very built around human compulsion, people being compelled to do things or being compelled by things.
Yeah.
In this case, I mean, its literal translation is the spiral obsession.
Mm-hmm.
People become compelled and obsessed with spirals, making spirals.
Well, yeah, in the beginning of the book,
It starts with
one of the characters,
the dad.
yeah, the dad is like
he starts
obsessed with
collecting
making,
spiral-shaped
yeah.
things and making things.
yeah,
And eventually, to try to like help him, they take away all his spiral-shaped crap. He's like, "Oh, I don't need it anymore. I
Yeah.
can make spirals myself."
yeah. And then that's when
And then
he
he
like,
spirals his tongue.
yeah, and then he made himself into a spiral.
In a barrel,
In a
and
barrel.
No, thank you.
Yeah. And I found it interesting that when, I don't know if you got to this part in the book, but when they like cremate them, the smoke goes up into the air and it makes a
Yeah.
spiral too,
Yeah.
which is very interesting.
I've also seen some of the art from some of the end scenes, and man, is that a sight?
Yeah. Like, spoiler alert, not really, but whatever.
Everything's a spiral.
Yeah. Literally everything becomes a spiral. Like the two main characters, like, I don't remember their names.
I'm sorry, but like, with the exception of Tomi and Gyo, you never need to care about an Ito
Yeah.
protagonist.
Yeah, so like the two main characters are a guy and a girl. They're dating. The guy goes crazy because he's the son of the guy that made himself
That's
into
also a
spiral.
very common trope in Ito stories. I've noticed that it's always a guy and a girl,
Yeah,
and they are usually dating or want to date.
yeah,
It was like that with Amagara Fall. That's the whole premise of Tomi.
mm-hmm.
Like,
It's a premise of all good like manga story. Like
guy and a girl.
guy and a girl. You relate to
Arrow.
it so much. Love them.
Speak for yourself.
But in the end of it, they twist together and they fight the whole entire way. Well, the guy, the boyfriend, it's literally like, let's go, let's leave this place, and the girl is dumb and like, my family, I can't leave my family. And
The
then
first
her
thing I would have been
family all
out. I would have been
fucking
like,
dies.
oh no, I'm out. Screw you.
Ooh, while we're on this one, another one I feel like we should bring up is Army of One. That's one I read not too long ago.
Yeah.
Was it good? Was it good?
You know what? It's actually pretty good. It plays on similar aspects to Uzumaki, so if you want to
Okay.
get into that, we can.
Yeah,
But first,
well,
I feel like
yeah.
we should finish our talks
Yeah.
on this one.
Well, we could talk about that one straight after since it kind of
Golden.
connects. But anyways, one of my favorite like kind of sad parts was when I don't know how far you actually got into it,
Spoiler.
but later on in the book, her brother have you gotten to the point where people were turning into snails?
That was about where I left off.
Yeah. So, again, spoiler alert. Her brother starts turning into a snail, and people at this point, people are trying to go. It's like in the news and stuff like that. So other places are trying to come and save them and try to figure out what's going on. So there's a bunch of firefighters, police officers, anchors, like people like from the TV news and stuff like that. And they've kind of formed a little group, and some of them have obviously started going crazy, as you do if you're freaking surrounded by spirals and literally everything is coming down around you. And there's snail people. I don't remember how they turn into snails. I think they just magically turn into snails. There's this one guy that kind of started it, and then
there's no real explanation as to how they just feel compelled to spiral their bodies into the shape of a snail.
Yeah.
And then it just
happens.
Yeah,
it starts on their back, I think. There's like a spiral on their back, and then it turns into like a hump shape, and then they just turn into a freaking snail. Yeah, I think it started off with this one nerdy guy that just was like a shut-in kind of thing and didn't really talk about it to anyone. And then he turned into one, and then a kid was his bully that kicked him or something, and then the next day he turns into a snail, and then the teacher, the teacher, it sounds weird, but it's kind of the whole premise of his book, is the bully and the shut-in kid, because I don't think snails, they don't have genders.
No, they're hermaphrodites.
Yeah. So they have children, and the teacher starts smashing their eggs. I don't even think do the snails make eggs? I don't even know how they reproduce, to be honest.
I don't know. When you have to think about how snails fuck is when you know you're too deep into the story.
Yeah. So anyway, they produce eggs, and the teacher starts destroying the eggs. He's pissed off or whatever. And then the next day, he shows up to class, and he's a snail. Anyways, long explanation for a short little thing I was going to say. So the brother turns into a snail, like I said, and obviously the sister and the boyfriend are trying to hide the facts that he's turning into a snail, because the people that are in the group are starting to eat the snail people. Because they're just like, oh, it's just escargot. You just have to think it like that, and we're starving, and blah, blah, blah. So they start eating them. And so obviously...
That's another big Ito thing, is that people just in denial of the madness around them.
Yeah. And they in a way it's cannibalism, but even if in a way it's
the way
not.
They rationalize it. Oh no, they're not people, they're just snails.
Yeah, they're just snails now.
The world isn't falling apart.
Yeah, they're just snails. We have to eat. We have to find a way to survive, blah, blah, but they're not people, even though they were literally 2 minutes ago, which is really interesting, how people, the psychology behind it, how people, and again, that's in normal situations too, right? People will be stranded in places, and they'll just resort to cannibalism, right? Which is a normal thing. Well, not normal, but it's a normal thing. If you're in danger and you're like, oh crap, I need to eat, the first thing that comes to mind, usually, obviously I've never been in that situation, but usually in those situations it's cannibalism kind of thing. Which I think is a human way of, because obviously we want to survive, and the first thing that we need, or second thing is water and food and stuff like that to survive, so. Anyways,
That's something we'll talk about when we get into tone.
Yeah. But yeah, so what was that other one that you're talking about?
Army of One.
Army of One?
So, this is one of the few cases where Ito does a decent job at writing a protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And the protagonist, I forget his name, but he's a NEET. He's in his mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
Since he left high school, he's just stayed in his bedroom his whole life.
Yeah, as you do.
As one does.
Yeah.
And he's listening to the radio. It is how it starts. It's not this weird song hijacks the station. You'll never be alone again. You'll be a part of the Army of One.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and again, this song hijacks the radio station. And once this starts, people start finding murders. People come across murder victims who are found completely naked and stitched together.
Like two people stitched together, or
Yes,
just
2 people completely naked stitched together with fishing wire.
huh? Okay.
And then after a couple more of these murders are found, a plane starts flying over town every now and again, dropping flyers for the Army of One.
Okay.
And then our protagonist is visited by his high school crush, who's saying, "Hey, we're getting the whole gang back together for a nice coming-of-age ceremony."
Okay.
So he's like, "It's the girl I like. Why
Whatever.
not?" You
I might
know,
get laid out of this.
what else does it take to get a guy out of the house besides tits?
Yeah.
But so he goes to meet up with some people who are organizing it. You know, the top jock guy is there. A nerd guy is there who's like the big nerd in class.
Mm-hmm.
And you know they're talking, and so he's like, "Nah, this does seem like a good idea." He finds out that his crush and the jock are going to be getting married soon,
Aww.
and that just kills everything for him. He wants to go home.
Aww. Poor guy.
So then the
Poor
nerd
man.
guy's like, "Oh, come on, man, you're not the only one who's still single. Me and some of the other guys from the class, we're gonna go and have a singles night out, a Lonely Hearts Club thing." And he's like, "Nah, I'll pass." And then later on, he finds out that all the guys who went with the nerdy guy to have like a guys' night out end up going missing.
Oh shit.
And they're found later on, all dead, naked, and stitched together.
Oh shit.
Stuff.
Some orgy shit going on there.
And slowly, over the course of the story, it's not that long of a story, but more and more of these victims are being found, and people are starting to think that Army of One is like a serial killer or a group of serial killers.
Like a cult or something, maybe.
Exactly. But it's like the government is trying to figure out something to deal with this, but they can't seem to find who's hijacking the radio stations, or they can't find the plane that's dropping the flyers.
That's interesting.
And then they fought, and then the day comes for the big reunion.
Okay.
So he finally decides, screw it, I'm gonna go, might as well. So he starts going there. He ends up getting sidetracked along the way by finding another group of bodies.
Aw.
And he finally decides to get there, because at this point, finding bodies has got to sort of become a regular thing in town.
Oh, that's so sad. that comes.
And they
that
start
becomes-
getting there. He bumps into his crush. They're both running late. So by the time they get there and they go inside, it's empty. No one's there. And then the next day, the entirety of their class is found naked,
Sewn together.
sewn together, strung up in the trees of the forest
Nope.
as one giant ball of corpses.
Nope.
What?
Not today, sir.
That's so cool.
And then at that point, like, martial law is declared on the town. Nobody leaves their houses. Suddenly, everyone's a neat like him.
It's his dream.
And so he sort of keeps in contact with the crush, because, I mean, her fiance's dead now, so he might have a
Woo!
chance.
Man has an opening.
Consoler. It's like,
so,
yes.
you know, they're talking back and forth over the course of, like, a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, why don't you come over? You know, she's depressed, he's depressed. So he's like, nobody's in their homes, but you know what? I'll risk it. He goes to her house, and he finds her stitching her parents and her dog together.
Nope.
And then it ends with him saying, I'm dying, but I'm not dying alone. And then it just ends.
That
That's
woman
it.
is a keeper.
What
She
in the
will
world?
keep people together.
I don't know what to think about that.
I definitely would go home and like.
Yeah, I want to read. I want to see. I want to like read it.
It's good.
Like even
good.
like even here, like the good thing about these.
Like,
these
I did
books-
not do it justice there, but it
Yeah,
is
but, like,
fantastic.
in the like with his books, you could hear someone telling you it, But like it's
reading
the,
is a whole different experience.
Yeah. So
Because
again,
this one I actually picked up the manga for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how Ito always writes his manga and that every turn of the page you are just nerve-wracked.
Yeah.
That final page turn to her stitching her family together. It was just, man.
Spoiler
It
if
fucks
anyone
you
wanted
up.
to watch
It
that.
fucks you
But
up.
it doesn't like. But the thing with these books, like I just said, you can hear someone tell you this, or read it, or listen to it, or get it read to you, and you would still.
Let's face it, you're
want
not in
to
it for the
want-
story. You're in it for the experience.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
in there. You're in it for seeing the artwork and seeing like the creepiness of it. Like you can I just said, like you can hear it, but it doesn't hold up.
Exactly.
Was there any other ones that you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about
Tomy is one I
Tomei?
recently, actually yesterday, finished the last chapter of,
Mm-hmm.
or at least the last chapter that's been translated to English anyways. But, so Tomy's an interesting, it's another one of his long-running ones,
Mhm.
like Uzumaki. And it is about a girl named Tomy.
Shocker.
I know.
Whoa,
thought?
who'd have thunk?
So the first chapter is about her when she's in high school. So she's the hottest girl in class.
Oh shit.
The guys want her, the girls hate her, and it's a little drawn out, but eventually it's just her being a complete bitch to everyone, but still having them all like eating out of her hands.
So it's
Wow.
like every single like anime plot.
Yes.
Every single one.
so you know, she starts dating one guy in the class,
Mm-hmm.
but she has an affair with her teacher on the side.
Oh shit.
And she constantly
Getting the good-
blackmails him with it.
Getting the good D.
And it's just a whole like drama of her just fucking with these people, literally and metaphorically.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes to a climax when the class goes on a field trip up in the mountains.
Oh shit.
And finally people are just sick of her shit. Her boyfriend overhears her blackmailing the teacher, her saying like, you know, you'd lose your job if they found you were sleeping with your teacher. Imagine what would happen if they found you got one of your students pregnant.
Shit. She's pulling that card on.
So the boyfriend and the teacher just straight up murder her ass. And the whole class helps them cover it up. They cut her body into 42 pieces because there are 42 students. And they each
Okay.
take one home to hide.
Huh. Why would they take
And just
it
a little
home?
fun, just to spread the pieces around so they can't connect it all to the same murder.
Why don't they just tell them to be like, hey, you go this way, I go this way, you go this way, and you
That's
go
essentially
all...
what happened.
But like,
but-
don't take it home. Because if they find it at home, then
Well, the ones it does show, it doesn't show them taking it home. Like one throws it off over a bridge.
oh, okay.
Or stuff like that. But I feel like the fact that he went with the number 42 is interesting because 42 in Japanese is pronounced shini, which is also how they pronounce death.
Oh, that's interesting. It's a little fun factoid.
So you're thinking like, what the fuck? It's the first fucking chapter. She's already dead.
Now, yeah, like what's gonna happen, kind of thing, for the rest of it.
Then it gets into the next chapter, which is called Revenge.
Oh shit.
So it's about 3 friends who go hiking up in the mountains.
Mhm.
So they come across a dead body of a young woman in the mountains.
Okay.
They come across a body. One of them, you know, goes up to it. Suddenly she comes alive, startles him. He falls off the mountain and dies.
Ooh.
So right off the bat, one's dead.
Huh. And
So
these
the
people
other-
have nothing to do with like the class or anything. They're just two randoms.
They're just randoms.
Okay.
So
Sucks.
so the last 2 are like, oh shit, we can't save him, but this girl's naked, barely alive up in the mountains. So one of them's like, here, take my coat. You know, they wrap her in some blankets. They're trying to like, they start to take her back to their cabin.
First mistake.
First mistake. So along the way, the one guy who's like the leader of the group, he's like this expert climber. He goes hiking all the time. he slowly starts to become really attached to this girl.
Ooh.
And it gets to the point where it's like, she convinces him to strip down to his underwear and give her his clothes.
Get it.
And then it starts to get worse. She starts to mess with his head. She gets to the point where it's like, she's so cold she can't move, so he starts carrying her on his back. And she's like, partway through, she's like, no, I don't want you to carry anymore. Have the other guy carry me. And she slowly starts to sow these seeds of hate between him and his friend. And the whole time his friend's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, buddy?
I'm just fucking trying to hike here. You're just fucking annoying me.
And it gets to the point, you'll find this is a recurring thing in the series. The guy eventually goes so batshit crazy, he takes a rock climbing pick and slashes the girl's arm with it and runs off. So with his friends like, oh shit, the fuck am I going to do? He quickly ties up her arm with some bandages. He's like, shit, we have to find him. He's buck naked in the fucking mountains. He's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
So they
oh wait,
follow
the guy
his
that
track.
the guy that she manipulated.
Yeah.
Into, okay. I was
So
thinking the other guy that
no,
was like,
so they
fuck this, I'm so annoyed. Anyway, sorry.
So they follow his tracks, only to find him dead, froze to death, 10 feet away from their cabin. It's like, oh shit, this is where the cabin was. How'd we get lost?
Huh.
So him and this girl go into the cabin to warm up, rest the night, go when the storm's over.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of the night, she's talking about, oh yeah, people tried to kill me. It was terrible. He eventually finds out that her name is Tomi.
Ooh.
Nope.
And so she starts putting moves on him. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I suddenly so obsessed with this girl? And she's like, you remind me a lot of my ex-boyfriend that tried to kill me.
Ooh.
And turns out, the whole reason this guy went hiking with his two friends is because his brother disappeared in these mountains. He's trying to find his older brother, because his brother used to go hiking with these guys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all confused at why the brother went hiking alone and never came back. So they went out looking for him.
Okay.
And that's when they found Tomi.
Okay.
And then over the course of the night, things start getting hot and bothered, but nothing actually happens. And then the morning, she fess up to him that, yeah, I killed your older brother. So it turns out, Tomi's ex-boyfriend who tried to kill her was this guy's older brother.
Okay.
And it essentially just ends with her driving this guy insane in this cabin in the mountains. And it just sort of jumps to the next chapter.
Okay, so the ex-boyfriend, was he the one that was part of the class?
Part of the class that murdered her in the first place. Yes.
So why did he go back by himself though?
No one knows. And
I'm guessing she's like a ghost or something because her body parts are.
We get this sort of little epilogue to it of him running away from her back out into the snowstorm. And then he finds his brother's body.
Ooh.
But under the coat he sees movement. And he turns back the coat. And there's another Tomi sitting in the coat cannibalizing his brother's body. And then in the background, there's another Tomi wearing his friend's coat, and it's just like, what the fuck? It's just a huge mind fuck.
I'm gonna have to read that one. Anyway, sorry, continue to the next chapter.
The next chapter was Japan's top model. And it's about, Japan's top model.
Mm-hmm.
He's this guy, he gets all the ladies he wants, he's just super sexy.
Not you,
yes,
Matt. That's me.
Matt was
me.
Japanese. we'll let you dream. So essentially, he's like I'm tired of dating all these models. He talks to his father like, come on, you can hook me up with some hot women. You know, a cute girl you can hook me up with. I'm tired of my current girlfriend. This guy's a bit of a dick,
life.
So he's like, well, there's this one girl, but she refuses to have her picture taken. I'll hook you up with her if you can convince her to, get in a photo booth. Sign up for a photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, I'm down.
It's fucking Tommy, isn't it?
It's Tommy. It's Tommy. So he's waiting a half hour late for this date, and it's Tommy who shows up.
Mm.
And instantly he's just fucking in love with her.
So wait, and this is like in like Tokyo?
It's in Tokyo.
Okay.
So, they go on a few dates. The whole time he's like, oh, come on, why aren't you into me? I'm the hottest guy in Japan. She's like, oh, come on, a guy like you're just so average. And the whole time she just like digs knives into this guy's ego.
Good for her. Even though she's probably dead by now.
And it's just her constantly berating this guy no matter what he does for her, but he just can't give this girl up.
Mm-hmm.
Until eventually he finally snaps. He fucking, chews her out in the street, rants and raves at her, and then he goes home.
Mm-hmm.
And then one night while he's going back from a photo shoot, some deranged motherfucker slashes him across the face with a knife, ruining his career because now he has this permanent scar on his face.
Yeah.
He's like, no, this shit was fucking deliberate. That bitch sent him.
Oh, okay.
So he goes to find Tommy, and he cuts her up. And he's like, oh shit, what have I done? No one can see this. So he kidnaps her and takes her back to his apartment. But by the time he gets her back to his apartment, the cut's gone.
Ooh. Fucking demon.
She's like, you dumbass, I heal quickly, but you're still an ugly motherfucker. So eventually, after her berating him a little more, he straps her to the bed and just continues to cut her face over the course of an entire night.
And she just like heals back kind of thing? Or she
This time, doesn't heal back.
Ooh.
Instead, the cuts get infected. They start to swell. And he's like, oh shit, but she's still alive. So he just doesn't go back into his room for the next 2 weeks. But he's starting to hear her voice through the walls. Just her still shit talking, but now he's hearing more of the voices.
Like multiple voices of her?
Multiple Tommy voices.
Huh.
So eventually he goes back into the room to see that out of the wounds in her face have grown multiple Tommies.
That probably
And they're all shit talking him. So he eventually just takes gasoline to the whole fucking apartment and burns the whole building down. But he survives.
But wouldn't that just make more of her if she can regenerate like that?
He doesn't know, but he survives, but he's horribly burned. He can never live as part of society again because the whole body is just covered in third-degree burns. So he's living out in the woods. He has no idea how he's alive. Everything's just been a haze to him.
Wow.
Then he hears a voice
Oh shit.
from a nearby tree. And there's another Tommy there, naked, just sitting there, talking about how he's so ugly. And
Persistent.
that ends that chapter. I believe the next chapter was The Boy. So not all of Tommy's stories are about her getting people to, lust over her or fall in love with her like that.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a bit different.
Okay.
So it's about this boy and his family who move out by the shoreline. They got a place, he's a young boy and needs to grow. We'll move to a place near the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So every day this boy goes out onto the beach to explore. One day he finds a cave about 2 blocks down the beach. He's never seen it before. So he goes inside, and inside is a brine pool. And the pool is floating the body of a dead girl.
Ooh.
You can already see where this is going.
Yeah, it's probably Tommy.
So
Surprise,
it's
surprise.
it's Tommy all cut up.
Oh.
And he's scared, but he just can't run away from her. And, you know, she starts to sweet talk. Oh, such a sweet boy, such a cutie. And he sort of starts to befriend her. So over the course of several weeks, he keeps going back to visit her, and you notice every time, like, she's healing more and more. And you notice the longer he keeps hanging around her, the more he sort of starts to wither away. His eyes become sunken and bloodshot. He starts to get thinner and pale.
So she's like absorbing his life.
Yes, this happens with every guy she's with.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like some, I don't know, succubus thing saying Ito never explains what Tomi is.
Yeah.
But you become very familiar with her as a person throughout the course of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So the boy starts wanting to, you know, make Tomi happy, make the pretty lady happy.
Mm-hmm.
He steals one of his mother's dresses to give to her. He starts like just doing horrible shit and stealing things to make her happy.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Where his mother finds out. And she follows him to the beach and sees him playing with Tomi. She's like, nope, you can't hang around this woman anymore. You can no longer go to the beach. No.
Is she like fully healed at this point, or is she not?
She has like a couple of scars on her face, but for the most part, she's fully healed at this point.
Okay.
And the boy, when the mom tries to take the boy away from Tomi, he's like, what are you doing? Why are you taking me away from my mommy?
No.
So it gets to the point where it's so bad, she locks him in his room.
Mm-hmm.
So the father comes home from the business trip and he's like, why have you locked our son in his room? And the father opens the door, and inside the boy has cut up everything in the room with scissors.
Huh. Why?
He's just become obsessed with cutting things. He wants to see mommy.
Okay.
And he uses this as a chance to escape with the scissors.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes back to the beach, and he sees Tomi there with some young man.
Ooh.
Holding her in his arms.
Poor man.
And before he knows it, the boy kills the man.
Why?
He just, no, mommy's his.
Oh, true. Yeah. That makes sense.
Then the mother and father arrive, and this is the first time the father sees Tomi.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts to become obsessed.
Oh, yeah.
And ends with the father going nuts, killing all three of them. The mother, the boy, and Tomi.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
I thought...
since we're short on time, I'll just do one of the more interesting chapters of our last bit here before I jump into our next segment.
Yeah, we still have quite a while.
So this next one is actually one of the ones I found the most interesting. It's called, the chapter is called The Gathering.
Mm-hmm.
So it follows this guy. His girlfriend had recently died from a terminal illness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's depressed. He's down the dumps.
Mm-hmm.
So he's hanging out with one of his friends, and he's like, "You know what, man? I think I know just the thing for you." And we finally get a good look at his friend in this scene. Sunken eyes, bloodshot, skinny, pale.
Mm-hmm.
So already, being a few chapters in, you're like, "Oh shit, I see where this is going."
Yeah.
So his friend's thinking, "Oh, he's probably just gonna take me to a strip club or something." He's like, "Fuck it, you know, it's my buddy. Might as well just go with him.
Yeah.
We might have some fun." Instead, he takes him to a dingy apartment building in
Run.
a sketchy side of town,
Run.
and takes him to an apartment filled with a bunch of men on their knees sitting around an empty throne.
Same. That's what I want to do.
And he's like, "The fuck is this shit? Where the fuck did you bring me, buddy?" And so all the guys in the room start shouting, "Tomi, Tomi." And from one of the rooms, out steps the queen bitch herself. You know, she walks over, sits in her throne, and all these guys are just eating out of her hands. And like a chef brings her caviar and she's like, caviar again. No, take this away. And the whole time she's just acting like an entitled brat.
Mm-hmm.
They're all obsessed over her. And she's like, none of you interested me. Can't you do what I said and bring me a nice stud to enjoy? So that's when his friend pipes up like, hey, I brought this guy, and points to our protagonist. He's like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I involved why'd you bring me here?
Yeah.
So Tommy comes over to him. He's like, why don't we go back to my bedroom and get temperature? It's like, nope, fuck this. I'm out. Nope. And he just gets the hell out of there.
Smart guy. Wait, did he not get obsessed?
No. And Tommy doesn't like that.
Ooh.
And neither do her followers. So a bunch of the guys from the gathering kidnap him and bring him back to Tommy's apartment. And we spend the next few pages going over Tommy trying to get this guy to fall for her.
Mm-hmm.
None of it works.
Because he's fallen in love with the girl that passed away.
Exactly. And over the course of it, she finds out because he starts to talk in his sleep about his girlfriend. She's like, oh, he loves a dead girl.
Mm-hmm.
I have an idea.
Oh, God. That doesn't seem well.
So one day, when all her followers are just worshiping at her feet, he's alone in a room with his friend.
Uh-oh.
And his friend's like, oh, if she were mine, the things I'd do to her, I don't know if I could control myself. And he's just playing with a knife.
Oh.
I don't know why, but it's like I keep bringing knives to this place. Seems like the other guy's packing knives too. Oh, something's gonna happen.
Oh, God.
So one day, the male followers can't control themselves. And they'll start going after Tommy. And the knives come out.
What?
So she runs way back to the room where she has our protagonist tied up.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, you have to help me get out of here. She unties him. He's like, okay, where can we get out? We could probably get out through the veranda, she says. So he's going through there, and his friend climbs in through the veranda wielding the knife. He's like, no, now I'm all alone with her. She's all mine. So he's like, nope, fuck this shit.
I'm out of here.
And he tries to do this. Friend tries to get out when the other guys bust down the door. And
Wait, how did his friend get in there? Or was he already in there? Or he just magically
we
appeared?
assume he was already in there because he wasn't in any of the scenes prior.
Oh, okay.
So suddenly all the guys bust in. They start to dogpile Tommy, like, no, she's mine. I've got her hand. And then they start stabbing. No, I want to cut her. No, I want to cut her. Hey, that wasn't her hand. That was mine. That's my leg, asshole. And they're just cutting each other, Tommy, everything.
Wow.
So by the end of it, the only one left alive is the protagonist. He just had to sit there, watching it.
Oh, even his friend joined in then?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So when he leaves to get the cops, tries to explain to them what happened,
It makes it look
brings
like
them back to the apartment. All the bodies are gone. All that's left is a puddle of blood in the room. So that night, when he goes to sleep, he has another nightmare about his ex. This time, instead of his ex in the dream, it's Tommy. Instead of dying from illness, it's a bunch of guys dogpiling her again.
Wow.
Sorry.
It's messed. I know.
That's crazy.
I definitely want to read these now.
You should, man. It's good. It's good.
Ugh.
Yeah, except the manga is like $50.
Yep, where's my wallet? Oh.
I don't even think all the chapters of Tommy have been translated to English yet, so.
Oh, really?
Really?
No, I've only been able to read 5 out of the 9 so far.
You'll have to see if, like, in the manga they do it, maybe. Because it'd make, I don't know if it'd make any sense if they just did the 5 in the manga. Or maybe they're doing like a two-part
Like maybe they'll put out like, because so far I think it's been 2 books for it.
Oh, there's
Well,
been 2
I
books?
wonder if they'll put out like a full like omnibus of all 9 chapters.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like that'd be cool. I'd buy
Yeah.
that in a heartbeat.
Well, wasn't the one that you have the?
She has the omnibus for Uzumaki, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. It was a thick book too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
because
one-
it's all. I think Uzumaki had 8 chapters.
There was a
Yeah.
few in that one.
Yeah. Because it was pretty big.
Mhm.
But the one I saw of Tomei was pretty big too, so
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's a longer one.
Yeah, I don't know if
Was
I,
it
but,
Tommy that was there? Because I know that
Yeah.
there was that one. The,
Gyo.
Gyo. I
Yeah.
believe Gyo had one.
Gyo was his first big
Yeah.
horror manga. It was also when he tried to actually write a story.
Oh, that was gonna be
that
on
was
top
the
of that?
thing.
Yeah,
Just write about people dying. People will buy it.
yeah.
Instead, he tried to give it plot and explain what the monsters were, and had an actual protagonist that was he actually tried to give a personality shit to. It was just a mess.
He just needs to stick to his no
The monsters were like
explanations.
fish with mechanical legs that the Chinese government built in World War II to invade China. But
Really?
they ended up losing them. It's like this disease started infecting them. The disease started making the legs, and there was a shark that he hit with a stick. He was like, good enough, and went back to bed. And
Good lord.
it was just a mess of a book.
Have you seen, or sorry, have you read, I think you wrote Dissection Girl? What was
Yes,
was that
Dissection
like?
Girl is one of the shorter ones
Mhm.
Ito's done. So essentially, it's about this guy who's in med school,
Mhm.
and he's taking his surgery classes. And he's at the point where he's performing practice surgeries on bodies that were donated to the college.
Okay.
So he gets his body, unzips the body bag, and it's a young girl.
Mhm.
So he's like, this is weird. This one looks pretty fresh. There's no formaldehyde. It hasn't been preserved or anything. Must be a new corpse. Then the eye twitches.
Oh God.
He's like, nope, professor, get over here. And the professor's like, what are you talking about? This is some sort of prank. Body's being alive. And the professor comes over and checks the pulse of the girl. Oh shit, she's alive. So suddenly the girl darts out of the room.
I do.
And then suddenly these rumors start going around town about this girl keeps asking people to cut her.
Oh. Okay, so maybe she like snuck in there or something.
Yeah, and the boy's like, what the fuck?
But what happened
She
to the
looked
body?
familiar.
What happened to the body that was originally going to be cut up?
No one knows.
That's interesting.
So he slowly starts to piece together that this girl was one of his childhood friends.
Oh. Love
And they
interest?
starts reliving repressed memories of when he was friends with her. She convinced him to steal his father's scalpel because his father was also a surgeon.
Oh, that's good.
And she started using it to perform autopsies on live animals. And she convinced him to hold the animals down while she did it.
Oh. Serial killer.
And eventually she thinks she should perform an autopsy on a person. So she tries to cut him up. And he runs away. That's the last he ever saw her until now. Now she's become obsessed with having autopsies done on her. And eventually she gets taken to a hospital because someone actually did cut her up, but they didn't do a very good job. They get her fixed up at the hospital.
So she actually got someone to talk someone into dissecting her?
No, she just got cut up a bit with a knife.
Oh, okay.
So he goes to see her, and she's like, you do remember me. She's like, nope, fuck this. He runs home, but when he gets home, he finds her lying down on his table.
How? What?
She's like, finally, someone who can perform a perfect surgery on me. You can make it last for hours. He's like, nope, fuck this, nope. He does the sensible thing.
Yeah.
Calls the authorities. She gets arrested for breaking and entering. and it cuts 30 years later, after he's graduated medical school. He's been a surgeon for years, and now he's the teacher at this college.
Oh, good for him.
And he's going to perform an autopsy for the students. He opens a body bag,
It's her.
and it's her. So this time she's actually dead.
Oh.
And he knows all of her body are cuts and scars from many failed surgeries. He's like, the fuck? So he finally does the autopsy on her. Cuts her open, starts dissecting her.
Mm-hmm.
And inside, where her organs should be, are a bunch of weird eyeballs and tentacles and all sorts of creepy, fucked up shit. And then it just ends with this like full page spread of her cut open with all this weird shit crawling out of
That's interesting. So I'm guessing that she either did it on herself or she got someone else to do it or something on those lines.
it. I guess so.
Again, no explanation.
Yeah, it's very Ito. It's not quite in the same realm as those longer ones like Tomi or Gyo, but
Yeah.
still it was interesting for a one shot.
Yeah. And to end on that type of note, just showing her body with all this creepy stuff in it seems interesting.
It was a very Lovecraftian image to look at.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is horror games. You obviously have played
Yeah.
from, again, talking back from the beginning where you talked about how you played
Call of
Call
Cthulhu.
of Cthulhu. So what horror games have you played? Obviously, you've probably played many.
While horror was never my preferred genre when it came to games, there were a few that did catch my eye. Like when I got into high school, I sort of was less of a pussy, and I started playing a lot of like zombie. I started playing like Dead Space. I played State of Decay, which is a personal favorite of mine. I just found that would be really fun. It's very Walking Dead-esque. A lot of zombie games, because that was just the trend back then.
Yeah.
You know, Dead Island. I've started playing Dying Light, which is Dead Island but good.
Yeah, I've never played Dead Island.
But then I played quite a few of the more surreal horror RPG type games, like the Mad Father sort of series is a really good one that I've played.
Yeah, it's very. I've watched. I haven't played it. I've watched playthroughs of it. Because again, I'm poor and I don't.
I mean, it was Mad
mess up
Father,
my
and then there was the
computer.
sequel, Misao.
So yeah. I remember
Was there
that
ever
one.
a third? Because they left on a bit of a cliffhanger, the meta plot there.
Yeah. Because I know that. I don't know if they did do a second one.
Or a third.
Or third one, sorry. I know that there's a lot like of games like that, like
The Witch's House.
Yeah, The Witch's House.
The Crooked Man.
yeah, Corpse Party, similar.
Corpse Party was sort of like the originator of it all.
Yeah, I liked Corpse Party. I've watched walkthroughs because again I'm poor and I'd rather not mess up my computer.
Corpse Party also got a movie, it got an anime.
Yeah, it has an anime.
Wasn't there a manga as well?
Yes, there is a manga as well. Yeah, I've seen the anime. It's obviously game's always better. But I did enjoy it. Like it was just reminiscence of the game kind of thing. But again, obviously not as good as the game. But have you played like Outlast or anything like that?
Outlast is one I did play Outlast, I did not play Outlast 2 though.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only really attest to the first one, which was fucking creepy as shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never play it at night. Don't ever.
Dear little piggy. Just that first fucking chase, it's like, Jesus Christ.
Etched in your brain.
Yeah. Good old Chris.
I remember what was wait, never mind. You already said your first horror game was Call of Cthulhu. But my first horror game ever actually playing other than obviously watching walkthroughs, but that technically doesn't count. My actual like first horror game I've played was Slender, because again, my family was poor.
Slender was one I managed to avoid.
Yeah, I liked it. It loses its
Luster after you've played it once or twice.
yeah, because again, it's very repetitive. It's not
And
like
it's jump scare.
yeah, it's literally you finding pages and then you get scared by Slenderman.
Yeah.
It's not like oh a storyline kind of thing.
I mean,
But-
people said the same thing about Five Nights at Freddy's at first, but
Yeah. Well, they have multiple. Well, no, actually, they do have a couple of different games for Slender.
Yeah.
Like
there are
they
all
have.
sorts of fan games.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, obviously not official. They're more fan games. Have you played Until Dawn yet?
I have not.
Or
I've
have you seen it
some
yet?
stuff on it. It's got all that weird sort of the butterfly effect and
Yeah.
Wendigos. And
Yeah.
It was a whole thing.
Yeah. I again walk through. I've seen. I really like the whole Wendigo aspect. It kind of introduced me to the Wendigo, which I found really interesting. I also like the whole fact that I think it was for the. I don't know if it was for the Xbox. I think the one that I watched was for the PlayStation.
It was on everything.
Yeah, and well, on the PlayStation again, I don't know about the other consoles. It would if you moved, even the controller, your character would move in the game, and you could possibly get killed. So you literally had to
That was
sit
a
still.
PlayStation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
You
Xbox controllers could not do that.
Yeah, but like that's a cool aspect of it, including the controller into the game was really interesting. How you literally had to sit still. If you moved like the slightest,
Oh, I
Your
would
character-
die in a heartbeat.
Oh, I'd be so
I'd fidget
Yeah.
way too much.
Yeah.
yeah, and then like the storyline was pretty interesting, and following the different characters and stuff like that, and how you could keep people alive or kill people and stuff like that, which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other horror games that you've personally have played that you enjoy, or
Trying to think back.
I think my first one was Resident Evil.
Oh, Resident. Yes.
Like you're walking
I've
down the hallway,
Oh, that
and then
the first
The
crack,
dog,
the
yeah,
dog.
the dog jumps
window.
out.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I've
Me as a kid, I had to have
I-
nightlight on. I had to be like, Mom, make sure there's no dogs coming through my window.
I've only ever played that one. As much as I'm ashamed to say it, 6.
Come on, man.
I
Gotta make a
really
Jill
wanted to play
sandwich.
7 though. That one looks. I've seen
7?
walkthroughs
What, the
of 7.
Biohazard one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so Resident Evil. It recognizes that it's campy and shit with like
Yeah.
the first boss fight with the dad. Nice car there, Ethan. Mind if I take it for a spin?
Oh yeah, that one was
Oh, I
yeah.
love it so much. It understands how campy it is and it plays with it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so good, except for the parts where it just throws the goo monsters at you. I was like,
Yeah.
Why? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Just give me the old man again.
Yeah.
I want them.
And doesn't he like take a shovel to like a police officer?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he
In the one
shoots
part?
himself in the face, and he goes after you with a chainsaw. And
Yeah.
It cuts the police officer's head in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the shovel.
And the shit with like the mother and the bugs and
Yeah. It was.
and then after you beat her the first time, you look down to the pit, and you see just a hand grab her lamp, just pull it back.
Nope.
Ugh.
Well, the one, because I remember like seeing trailers for it too, and like the one trailer I saw, which was really cool, was when it was more of a demo, I guess, and it was the girlfriend that goes missing. I think that's that's the whole premise.
Yeah, the girlfriend goes missing.
And like you have to like get avoid the old lady, and then obviously at the end, she still, no matter how hard you try, still catches you and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
There were the flashback sequences, or not well, you find videotapes.
Yeah.
One is of the girlfriend hiding from the mother. There's another one of like a haunted house TV show crew.
Oh
going through
yes,
the house.
yeah, and they go into the basement, and something happens in the basement. And,
Yeah.
I like those. Those were interesting. Like it was the
I find like horror games
VHSs.
have the most interesting demos. Like
PT.
PT,
I think
oh
PT
my
has to be the
God.
best demo. Well, I wouldn't
Fucking
even. I
talking
would.
baby.
Yeah,
It
the
was
fetus.
just
Okay.
The fetus.
I have to say that this is the one game that I played, and then regret playing. Like it was one of those ones that like I was like, oh, I'll definitely play it out in like the sun, like when light out and all that. Nighttime comes and I'm like, oh, I haven't played it yet. And then I'm like, oh, I have to play it. And so you throw on your headset, turn it up a bit, turn the lights off, and it is the most creepiest thing in the world.
What wasn't that supposed to be like?
it was supposed to be
the trailer for Resident Evil or something, or is that a different game?
It was supposed to be the sort of teaser for Silent Hills, which is gonna be like
Oh
Silent Hill.
yes. And then
But
didn't they
Konami.
stop that?
Konami was like, "Fuck you, Kojima, get out. We're taking Metal Gear. We're taking Silent Hill. Fucking get stuffed, motherfucker." Kicking him out on the street. They didn't even give him the bucks for this thing. They probably just threw it at him.
Mm-hmm.
But then Sony was like, "Hey, Kojima, here's a blank check." And now we have Death Stranding, and no one knows what the fuck that is.
Yeah, isn't that the one with Norman Reedus?
Norman Reedus and Del Toro.
Yeah. I'm excited for Dark Talent.
Del Toro
Well, isn't
holding
there-
like fetus Norman Reedus.
Yep. I'm excited
Wasn't
for
there
that.
I am so confused.
there was
by
another
those
game that was
trailers.
supposed to be based off of the PT gameplay. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's Allison's Room or something, or
Oh, it was like the one after it, or it was like one of the games that like spawned
no, it's
from that.
it's coming out this year or something.
Yeah, I think
It's-
I think it's called Alice's Room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's apparently supposed to be like the same premise as like you're walking down a continuous corridor kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
But I don't think it's gonna be scary anymore, because like PT has already kind of put that fear
Mm-hmm.
into it. I feel like it's just
It's like, oh fuck, what changed this time?
you're like, oh cool, like I could see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like with PT, it was like the first one. You're like walking down. You walk down the hallway. You go down the stairs, and you're like, ah, screw it. I'm gonna turn around, not thinking anything, and then boom, bitch is like right in your face, and you're like, oh, that actually terrifying.
Nope.
And I feel like with the new game-
Control Alt Delete.
I feel like with the new game, like you're gonna do that, and you're gonna be like, oh, something's gonna be behind me.
Because at that point you're used to it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
expect it.
So I think the game's gonna lose.
But even like to
feel.
get the ending of PT, you had to do so much elaborate, like Call of Duty levels of Easter egg
Yep.
to do it.
You gotta like touch the nose of a photo or something like that, and then
And
it like
you have to say a specific phrase into a mic, and
Yep.
Yeah.
It was
and then you got the trailer for Silent Hills.
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
What game are you guys like horror game? Are you guys looking
The
forward
new Call of
to?
Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Call of Cthulhu, yeah.
Oh my god, I am hyped.
I would say Agony, but I do not want to play Agony.
It's one where, like,
fuck,
that-
Agony, yeah.
It's all
It's one of
skin
it's one of those
organs
ones
and
that I'm
stuff.
like, oh, I definitely want to play it, but then I don't.
Oh wait, no. Is that the one where you're
You're
a
a demon. Yeah,
Okay,
you're a
I
demon.
always
Yeah,
get
you're a
I always
demon.
get for some reason I always get that one and the
Not the one with like the gun.
yeah, where
and
it's
the
weird-
like
organ
a
gun.
yeah, the
yeah.
organ gun.
Fuck, what was that one called?
I have no idea.
Strain?
Yeah, I think it's
I
Strain.
haven't paid
That
attention
sounds-
to it, nor do I want
No,
to.
I
Yeah.
looked at it once. I'm like, I like body horror, but this is not my kind of body horror.
What was the one? Chasing the Sun.
Yeah, Chasing the Sun.
It's like a Bioshock.
Yeah, it's like
kind of thing. Have you seen
Bioshock,
that?
but you're on
Ooh,
like
I've not
a
seen this.
So what it is you're in a boat, and it's basically like Nikola Tesla. It's like a whole like
I'm
it's whole
sold.
thinking.
I was sold
it's,
at Nikola Tesla.
It's a whole thinking of Nikola Tesla, but in the theme of Bioshock.
Yes! I'm sold! I am sold! Buying it. Done. Pre-order.
No, but it's one of those things that like you mix those two together, and it makes the premise of something absolutely beautiful. And I definitely would pick that up.
Yeah, I want it just because I love Bioshock. Bioshock is one of my favorite horror games. And
Bioshock 1 was just mwah.
yeah.
Bioshock 2 is good too. I
Yeah.
liked all of them.
I don't know how I feel about Infinite.
Infinite was more of an action game.
Yeah.
It was a decent action game.
Well, if you play all, if you
did-
played all the, like, DLCs, your mind just gets.
Oh fuck, man.
You,
Burial at Sea.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
you're like Elizabeth. Kill me, and you're like, stop it.
I did like the whole. I like the one like part that I actually really liked.
The mind fucking Burial at Sea. Though.
Yeah, and
fuck.
when he goes back to Rapture,
Yeah.
that was my favorite part. I was like, I was wondering when you guys were gonna tie in this.
I hope in this game they kind of like tie something to.
Well, no,
Rapture?
didn't he?
Is it being made by 2K?
No, I think it's
No,
like
it's,
it's an independent one.
Yeah, it's an
independent
yeah,
like thing,
it's
but like
somebody-
I
it's Storm in a teacup.
Storm in the teacup.
Is Kevin Levine attached to this?
Don't think
Because
it
he was
is.
the
I don't
creator
think
behind
so.
Bioshock.
I
I
don't
don't know.
think it
I
is.
would hope. I would hope because that man is a fucking genius. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's the one game I'm looking for. Call of Cthulhu.
Call of Duty.
Hunt. Yeah.
Where you're
I'm
It's like
familiar with
it's
this
like
one.
it's like a multiplayer zombie hunting.
My only issue
building.
with it is that it's too focused on PvP. It's not heavily enough on hunting the monster. I feel like what should have is the more players are in the map, the tougher the monster you have to hunt.
I feel like if you have like
I would like if it forces you all to work together as this monster hunts you down and slaughters you.
And then after you kill the monster, you go after
Essentially
each other.
evolve, but not trash.
I like to bowl.
It was okay at first, but it just died so quickly.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough to it.
Microtransactions.
Yeah.
That's
The
what killed it.
new cheat codes.
Yeah, credit card.
Have you seen that picture? There's
Yeah.
a picture. Yeah.
It was like back then you had like a booklet and you like wrote down all your codes,
Fucking
and now
your
it's
Nintendo
cheat.
Power.
It's like cheat codes now. You drop down your credit card and be like, yeah.
Yeah. There was another one where it's it's a zombie game, and it's multiplayer, and each character. It's kind of like what's that game?
Well, there's the one that's I think it was State of Decay. No, it wasn't
State
that.
of Decay was a good one, but I don't think that's what you're talking
No,
about.
it's like a new one where like it was hordes of zombies like plummet through like
No,
a
that's-
train thing.
No, those are two completely different games.
Oh.
The one that I'm talking about is where it's what's that game? Where it's a multiplayer game where you go and there's a zombie called Tank. I'm literally drawing a blank.
Left 4 Dead?
Left 4
Thank
Dead.
you. Left 4 Dead. It's like that, but they haven't really said anything. They've only compared it to Left 4 Dead. They haven't really said anything too much about it. It's mostly what they mostly said is just a zombie
speaking of Left 4
game.
Dead,
Each character, it's
Right.
multiplayer. I think it's a 4-player multiplayer, and each character has different assets and.
I mean, speaking of Left 4 Dead, Vermintide 2 just went into open beta.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, I think with Left 4 Dead 2, my favorite part of the game was having to get that achievement carrying around that lawn gnome.
Noam
with you.
Chomsky!
You had to carry a gnome with you to the end, and then you get the achievement. It is the most terrifying thing. Because like a zombie comes running at you and you're like, kill him, don't let him kill me. I've got the gnome.
So you have to carry it.
You have
through
to
the-
so what it is you start off
It's,
you go through like
it's
a
actually in
carnival.
It was in Half-Life 2, the Noam Chomsky achievement.
Was it?
Yeah.
So what it is you start off in like a carnival, right? And one of the first things is you actually have to play a
you have to
mini
play
game.
one of the carnival
You have to play one of the
games. I think
games.
it's the shooting gallery?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
have to play the shooting gallery, and then when you get enough points, a gnome basically like drops down, and then you can grab the gnome, and then you have to go to the end of the game, or I think it's the end of act or the end of the whole thing.
I think it's the end. I think it's just the end of the act.
But when you do that, you get the achievement, and I think I spent like 20 tries to get it because it was always like my brother and
In
I.
Half-Life, it was even weirder. You had to like find the gnome in the middle of nowhere. You had to carry him through the whole level. You had to go completely off beat path and like
Yep.
shove him in a rocket ship.
Really?
Yeah, the achievement was called Rocket Gnome.
That's funny.
Is there any like games that you like that were horror?
Oh, BioShock, really? That's about it.
I'm kind of like.
I think
it's sort of
Bioshock was terrifying. The sole fact that Big Daddy was everywhere.
Big Daddy's coming.
Like Daddy was everywhere. Like you go after a little
Even the
sister.
little
I
sisters
like
were
the
disturbing,
big
too,
sister
like-
too, and I think
In number
it's in the
two?
second game.
Yeah, Big Sisters were pretty cool. They were
Yeah.
terrifying. Like
They
you
fucking leap on you.
yeah, you were like I don't like you hear the siren for like the Big Sisters coming and you're like fortified. Traps. Don't let him kill me. And then there's you in a corner with a shotgun. Just be like, please don't kill me.
Bioshock
Please don't
Infinite
kill me.
had one sort of creepy scene when he went into the future. It was what are they called? The Boys of Silence.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The freaky helmets. And,
Yeah.
Oh, with the
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
one of the terrifying ones was when you were in the graveyard and you were facing up against a ghost of some person, but like every single time you just hear piercing screams and it was the most like annoying thing slash terrifying thing.
Yeah. Another like horror game. I don't know. Like they've released like a beta version of it. Is We Happy Few?
Oh,
Yes.
yep,
That,
I've heard that it has gone down the shitter though.
yep.
Yeah, but they said that they're re-releasing it.
That's the same thing with Hello Neighbor.
Yeah.
The concept, it was there, perfect,
Yeah.
and then 2 years later,
Still nothing.
and you're like, it's
The
one of
hype
those-
is gone.
Yeah, the hype is absolutely gone. Like
Mhm.
We Happy Few, I heard it. Like I heard
Yeah.
it was coming out, and I was like, oh yo, it's gonna come out like next
Like,
year and all that.
So
2
few,
years later, and I'm like,
So
is it-
few of
so
those
is it
horror
coming
games
out?
survive early access.
Yeah.
Darkest Dungeon was one though that made it through.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have played that. I fucking love Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah,
It's just this dark and depressing like dungeon crawl.
you died of syphilis.
Oh, really?
You literally have like a party of adventurers that you go through, and like you have to manage their health, their sanity, their food. Your fucking torch goes out, you have to relight it, and the whole time you're fighting all sorts of monsters and stuff, and your people can go insane and end up with all sorts of mental problems.
That's
They
cool.
get diseases and injuries, and the whole time you're fighting all these terrifying monsters. It's very like Lovecraftian. There's a lot
Yeah.
of like Lovecraft elements to it. Even that turns out the narrator in Darkest Dungeon narrates Lovecraft books.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. And once you hear this man's voice, so good.
No, but are we classing zombie like video games as horror?
Yeah.
I guess
Because then I'll just throw this out there and
Sunset Overdrive.
no, this is the game that you will not call horror. Actually, I will, because it's the most terrifying thing. When you see a chainsaw, or when you see a clown with two chainsaws, you're terrified as hell.
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising.
Fucking love
You
those
go up
games.
to that, like, to the roller coaster, and that clown's just laughing and just throwing his chainsaws. You're terrified for life.
Yep, just no.
no,
But then Dead Rising 2, you get a bunch of weirdos like the chef. Oh, it
Yep.
tastes like chicken, or fucking what was it? The bunny groom guy in the gimp suit with the chainsaw.
I think it was in number 3 where they had.
They had a samurai.
Did
No,
we-
it was
did
like
we-
a big fat guy, and he had a tiger with him.
Yes, that was.
That was the
intense.
most terrifying thing because you killed a man, but that fucking tiger did not die, and the tiger's mauling you, and there's you just picking up drinks, just drinking it, and it was the most
Fucking Orange Juice was my savior in that game. Gotta love your OJ.
No, but I definitely feel like Dead Rising was probably like my favorite like zombie game out of them all.
Because it was so fun. It didn't give a shit.
But it was one of those things that like you would have to play as quick as possible because you have
You had a
time
time
goals to
limit.
hit. And then like sometimes like if you
Your
beat
daughter was infected, man. That was fucking sad.
yeah, and you're just like you're like I gotta do this, I gotta go.
Like,
gotta
I've read
go.
stories of some people just couldn't play Dead Rising 2 because they had kids.
Yep.
It fucked with them. And when a game can do that to someone, that is just incredible. Even if Dead Rising 2 does not take itself seriously at all, like, the number of times you're getting ass shots of what's-her-face. And
I didn't do that. I swear I didn't.
there was an
Yeah.
achievement in Dead Rising 1 for taking photos of zombies' underwear.
There was the whatchamacallit, lollipop
Lollipop
chainsaw.
chainsaw.
If you had the camera pan down,
You get like a
you get
pervert or
you
something.
get like a pervert, and then Jessica Negri basically tells you to stop being a pervert or something like that.
Yeah, Jessica was telling you stopping a pervert, and the tune was called It Wasn't on Purpose, I
Yeah, it
Swear.
wasn't on purpose, I swear.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Do you consider Devil May Cry to be horror? Because, fuck, those were good. I mean, you're still killing, like, demons and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of a hack and slash, I guess.
Yeah.
Still a good series, though.
Right. Shall we finish up?
Yeah.
I guess this is it for the night.
Yeah, because it's been over an hour, so.
Well
Right.
over an hour.
Well, again, thank you guys for joining us today.